Ooh, the green dragon. I am the green dragon. Welcome to a specialty inauguration launch of unofficially and officially and non-officially officially of my Rainbow Children project. It is a project that I've conceived in mind a few months ago while volunteering to reading to children, initiating them in literature and bringing them the joy of literature, bringing them joy as much as I could. I've started writing some theory, some ideas about the project that I've called the Rainbow Children project. And it's not because, not only should I say because I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, but because the first puppet that I've worked with was actually a multicolor exotic bird. Some say it was a parrot, some say it was another type of bird, so there was not a consensus, but it was pretty much a multicolored bird, possibly and most likely a parrot from Brazil, anyhow, and which I've called Mr. Rainbow, and that was the first of many different puppets which I've used throughout the experience, my more than a year experience of volunteering reading to children, which has been very rewarding, very educational, and very joyous. And now, of course, I'm no longer able to do that in person since the centers have closed down due to the war against Corona, the coronavirus pandemic. And the center closed down its operations location a few weeks ago where I have volunteered. So throughout that volunteering, a few months ago, I have written down these ideas for a project that I've called the Rainbow Children Project, which is a multifaceted project, and myself I'm in a prospect ongoing writing project, going my writing endeavors basically about children's books. And the stories that I've written now, it's about triplets, Lara, Laro, and Rola, and their adventures, the adventures of Lara, Laura, and Raibow. And the Rainbow Children Project, I envision it to be a collaborative one, cooperative one. Everybody who has ideas, willingness to contribute, to help, is more than welcome to do so. About my experience reading to children and experiencing their different energies was a very beautiful one and a very educational one at the same time. And my approach, a lot of my approach to it was based some on the theories of Maria Montessori, such as the absorbent mind, and at the same time was a more dialogue, a conversation with fundamentals and the basis being on questions or on the story or an interactive one, a very interactive one, rather than just solely, primarily me reading the stories and monologues. But I'll give you a concrete example of what I mean. So I'm in the process of reading, and the castle seemed far away yet Adrian was convinced that he could reach it in time to save the princess. And then somebody would, one of the children would say something, I would pause and I would respond, or I wouldn't hush them or necessarily. I would engage a bit, just of course to use the tact, not to get off track too much, but enough for their creativity to be encouraged and stimulated. And for example, another concrete example would be when I was in the process of reading the book, and because of copyright reasons, and since I don't have yet published of my own, and I'm not going to be able to post and do a recording or reading, since I'm an artist myself, and I understand that, such as myself, struggling artists sometimes, the copyrights infringement and intellectual property is of course a big issue, and have to ask permission, of course, to read the books and post them online. And so I will need help with that. If somebody's willing to volunteer or help out with that, that would be a great valuable thing, which I would value, since I don't want to write the series, at least a few books on my Laro and Lola, Laro, Lara and Laro, Laro and Laro, triplets adventures. But for example, I would be reading this book, A Friend for Dragon, Praise for the Dragon Tales. Who is a friend for Dragon? Oh, the dragon finally find a friend. Will you find a friend for me? Am I going to look long, long, long? I will be reading the story, and sometimes if it's, let's say, there are several dragons, or several animals, we would count them. I would make the children count and say, let's count together, and we'll count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, or we would see the stars. I said, how many stars do you think there are? And they would interact, and then say, some of them would say outrageous, of course, numbers, 1,000,000, thousand, trillions. And of course, these numbers do not mathematically exist, but yet my approach would be to always encourage them to stimulate creativity beyond just a mathematical reasoning or beyond just logic. Right now, I'll say, wow, that's a big, 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 big number. Never heard that before. That's beautiful, and things like that. Just because to encourage them to contribute positively and stimulate their creativity. Or for example, we would be about to turn a page, and the page, I would ask sometimes, depending on the story, ask, what do you think would happen next? Will it find the princess? Will it not? Or depending what the story is, I would use my own creativity. And as an artist, of course, I would put my creativity on the parallel to go confluently, to flow harmoniously as possible with the story, of course, to do the best of my abilities. Of course, I'm a human being, I make mistakes every day, but and to try to concord the tone of the story with the to incarnate it, if you will, as much as possibly a human being can. So, for example, it would be a story I would be reading it, and one of the children would be saying something, or say, hey. So I remember one of the children said, hey, can I say something? And I said, I paused, and I said, yes. And would say, and that's it. I'll get back to the story. I will make a positive comment and encourage them to their creativity, not to repress, their high intense energy. And sometimes we would do a little bit of, if it's singing, we'll do a little bit of singing, and before the story we'll do a little bit of more intense movement and the dance or whatever it is. For example, a story that they really liked, this one is a good one too, A Friend for Dragon, would be a story about that stimulated movement. and I would do the movement with them, and they would they would do it. And I remember this story that was specifically that I liked a lot. Actually, I liked it so much that they were asking for it again, and it had to do with the repetition of words. And those words were rhyming, and not just rhyming together, very simple words rhyming, but also they had a rhythm to it, musical rhythm to it. It was at a farm, about a farm, and it was this is to the best of my abilities was several months ago, but it was something like this: click, clack, moo, and the sounds that the animals made. Right? So I would show them something like click, clack, moo, above, below, moo, or click, clack, moo, very simple movement, so that their energy is sometimes not repressed, but you don't want to rile them up too because they do have more energy, more intense, more dispersed, if you will, more chaotic, if you will, than most adults. It's not always the case, but in some, of course, each child is a beautiful star in its own path of growth and understanding, and energies differ. And of course, it's not always easy to have a harmonious flow of energies, but it can be done. And so that was one of the stories which, like others, they can stimulate our movement of the body. So my project, Rainbow Children Project, came into being, if you will, in my mind, my desire, my will. I have to look because I remember several months ago when I initiated it, starting writing the first ideas for it, I would see it and what I expect from it as a collaborative enterprise with fellow writers and artists who either write children's stories or are illustrators. And they have to be worked together because I'm an artist myself but cannot draw. So that's why I want it to be a collaborative effort, both on the creative side and on all levels. And myself am getting better at animating, and the experience has been a relatively positive one. My engagement with the children, they do love to bring them joy, so to make it's funny sounds or make voices. On the dragon that cometh, who disturbeth my peace and sleep? I have slept for 1,000 years. Who dares waken me? Is that you? And such play, also playfulness, is important to keep with the children, and of course, playfulness, stimulating their creativity while initiating them in literature. Of course, which initiation to literature was the main premise of the program, which the organization that I've volunteered with for more than a year has its goal. Its program was to initiate youth and into literature, early literacy, increasing the literacy rate and early literacy initiation. And of course, for the parents, it's important for the parents also to read to their children. It's, mm, in my opinion, that's why if I would have children of my own, I don't. I do love children a lot. They have taught me a lot. I love to hear them joy, and giggle, and laugh. And I would read, of course, to them regularly. It would be a story time was the name of the program, and I would definitely read to my kids. and that's why I'm in the process of writing, and I do hope that one day, hopefully soon, and of course now I know we're fighting the coronavirus, and we're at war with the coronavirus, and once this is over, or it takes a few more weeks or months, we will win this war against corona, and I'm pretty sure we'll emerge through it, humanity together. Of course, myself, I do it in English, although I speak French, pretty much bilingual. Perhaps I will also write in French, and I'm able to do it. French have to state on record that this program, this institution, have been doing it in a bilingually. I've done it in English and in French, and sometimes I made the children decide whether they wanted it French or in English, and they would take a vote, and take a democratic vote. Some of the children raised their hands on both, so it was a more democratically complex issue, although the group weren't more than a dozen or 15 or 18 or 12, 13 at the time, but sometimes they would vote twice for English or French, I guess, and that would be another type of democracy for another time to philosophize on children voting twice. So my project, the Rainbow Children, is an ongoing project. First, I wanna write. I've began writing general story ideas, and plots, and themes. I want the adventures of Lara, Laro, and Nero to be. I know it's the names are chosen specifically to have a L and R in it, and A and R, which are four letters that are more, if you want, can be intoned and pronounced more, perhaps creatively, passionately, or perhaps even more humor, more comedy, if you will, to them. Lara, Laro, Lero, right? Lara, Lero, Laro, Lero, Laro, Lero. You can play with those with the names in a way that's the vocabulary of the English language. You can find many different words that would associate and make it not only to rhyme, but in a rhythm, in a rhythm to be conducive to learning and to growing in learning. Especially, of course, these are intended to be for children. Let's say three to 7, perhaps primarily, and then I would have series from 7 to 11, and perhaps 11 to 13. I would envision, and now see this idea came now that I could do Lara Lero when they're about 7 or 6 or 5, and then I can do Lara and Lero when they're about 11, and Lara and Laura and Lara, Laro, Lero when they're 13ish, close to or in beginning of puberty. So see that idea of expanding the story came now to expanding it to include different age groups, and of course the themes have to differ. The level of understanding of English, of course, grows and differs, and knowledge is on a different level as the age groups are. But generally started for young kids, 3 to 7, and say 7, 11, and 11, 13, to make it to different age groups, that when they're all the adventures would differ. I'd start riding bikes, or go swimming, or start playing some sports, athletics, and but it can be interchanged. It can be so that is part of my Rainbow Children project. Again, Rainbow Children, the name came primarily, and I have to look because I remember I sent myself an email, I think in almost a year ago now, on the first initiation of the idea of the Rainbow Children, probably in June last year maybe. So I have to look in my emails, because primarily because of the first puppet, which was my first puppet, and the first weeks that when I began volunteering reading to children, since I've been volunteering in different organizations in my community. I do believe in volunteering quite a lot, and I gave it a shot. I didn't know what to expect, but say, well, kids, like children, like their energies, and I believe in literacy, increasing the literacy rate, increasing literature. It's causes that I believe in. I love the English language. That's a passion I've always had. And I've read educational books on children's educational books and such. So I'll give it a shot, and I did. And had a puppet which was rainbow colored, had the 7 colors, and it was say a multicolored rainbow bird, which was Mr. Rainbow. Perhaps a parrot, but not sure that was a parrot from Brazil. So that was Mr. Rainbow, and then I began writing the ideas for the triplets. And now with this project, like I said, I'm looking for artists who draw, who can illustrate, that is, as the books are illustrated. And I also want to work together with both illustrators and other writers of their their um, of their books, for me to do recordings of their stories with my voice and my input and my creativity, and the way I incarnate the different animals or the different characters, or the way I read the story to the children. And of course every story is different, and has to, sometimes it rhymes. I have to catch up that it's when they rhyme, sometimes it's musical. It has to be almost sang. Having a few stories, and it's not a lot, having a few stories that were kind of musical in such a way. So to do recordings now, I will contact this coming days the institute and the different publishing houses to see if they'll give me permission, copyright permission, to, although in these times it's quite possible that it's gonna be a more touchy subject to get a response and what have you from the copyright, because let's say there's a dragon downstairs. There's a dragon downstairs. Where's the dragon at? Is he downstairs? What's he doing over there? And of course, as an artist myself, copyright is something that's, all rights reserved, including the right of reproduction in whole or in part, in any form. So I would have to write them, and it's in order for me to, of course, read it and post it online. Perhaps it would be helpful for children in this time to 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 be read children's stories. But have to ask permission to do it. I'm already struggling financially as an artist, so I don't want to get sued. So I'll try to do that. So that's part of my part of my Rainbow Children project is that I want to animate and read the videos and audios of other authors' books as well, children's books as well. And I'm looking for illustrations and illustrators for my book series, of course, children's book series, which have begun in writing ideas and concepts and themes for. It's gonna be a more rhyming, rhythmical, more fun, and I want it to be somewhere where the children as well can imagine either what's next, what's gonna happen next, or can imagine different scenarios, or use their creativity and stimulate their creativity in a way that, as my approach has been, not represses their energies. When it's sometimes there's the children, right? They're developing, they're growing, they're getting to be aware of self in more and more ways of discovering their self more and more, although, and growing creatively, and their creativity is not restricted so much by the rules of set rules, established norms, it's more, I want to say, in many ways it's more pure, if you will. It's more innocent. I would rather use than pure, but innocent in many ways. For example, the they were saying numbers when we were counting. For example, I remember once we were discussing was it stars, and we were looking at the starry. I don't remember the name of the story, but it was a starry sky, and it was the moon. It was night. And I was gazing at the stars. And I said, "Wow, let's count the stars. There's so many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7." Together, and I said, "Wow, how many stars do you think there are?" And somebody said 1,000,000,000,000,000,000. Somebody said 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000. Of course, somebody else said 100,000,000,000. And of course, those numbers in mathematics do not exist. But I said, wow, I wouldn't not say that number doesn't exist, or that number's not, because it's not the time. Wasn't the time I would say, wow, that's such a big number. I try to make them smile and laugh, and while at the same time still follow the story and still learn new words, which they did. And it was educational for me as well. The experience, it wasn't just a one-way street. It's more interactive. At the same time, trying to do a job to animate and read and increase literacy and initiate them early to early literacy, while stimulating their creativity, or at least not as, if not stimulating it, not repressing it, not and encouraging it, right? Encouraging their contribution, encouraging them, right? But of course, there has to be balance. There has to be a balance. There has to be a balance, and it's sometimes fine, and we find that it takes awareness of one's own ego and one's own intention, right? To do or to respond in such a way, and then the higher cause, general literacy, for the beauty, or for the continuity, or for the XYZ reasons of the English language. I was doing bilingual, so it could be both. I'm perfectly fluent for French, but my Rainbow Children project is mainly in English, but I'm exploring, of course, to write the story as well in French, but is firstly, primarily, if you will, is an English writing endeavor, but I'm not limiting it to just the English language. So the Rainbow Children project, and gonna see if can get some work with this, trying to animate, because I would really love to read other great writers, which they are. This one's of course a very good one. The Paperback Princess, Robert Munch. The Paperback Princess. And again, I can't read it, I can't animate it because I do not have permission to do so. And since of course the rights are reserved. All rights reserved, yeah. So no part of this work, what does it say? No part of this work, no part of this work. I can't read because there's a sticker there, so it's not, so it's a more difficult endeavor. All rights reserved. No part of this work may be reproduced. Copyright and may be reproduced or used in any form, graphic novel, without the prior written permission of the publisher. So yeah. So unfortunately, cannot read any of these books. I believe most of them, if not all, are covered by the copyright since they're printed and by professional publishers. No part, no part. But anyways, it's a good story. The Paperback Princess. But since I'm an artist, I will do a brief story of my own. And again, this little story you can use freely anywhere in the world without giving me a fucking penny. I am Mr. Lion. I am Mr. Dragon. Do you children want to know our stories of how we became friends? They became friends. You became friends with a lion? Did you become friends with a dragon? Yes, I did. I became friends with a dragon. Did you become friends with a lion now, Mr. Dragon? I befriended a lion indeed. Our story starts many, many, many years ago on a stormy, stormy night. There was rain and there was thunder, and there was rain and there were thunder, and the thunder roared and the rain dropped, and the thunder dropped and the rain roared. And the wind was blowing. The wind was blowing leaves and trees and right after dust, and dust came into the lion's eye, and one of his eyes he couldn't see, and he roared and roared and roared until he woke up the dragon who was sleeping far away in his cave. Who dares awaken me from my sleep? I've been sleeping for 1,000 years. And the dragon blew his mouth, and fire came, and he pierced with his fire and his fiery breath through the rock, and the rock went rolling all the way far, 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 far away, that it reached all the way to the roaring dragon, who one of his eyes was hurt by the storm. Who dares throw this rock upon me? Said the lion. Who dares throw this rock upon me? I know it's not the storm, it's not powerful enough. And the lion, strong, mighty king of the jungle, with his roar and his body, took 1,000 steps back and ran towards the rock, and with his powerful body he whisked the rock back so hard into the mountain that it rolled back and closed again the cave of the dragon whence he was about to come out. And the dragon, perplexed, didn't know what was happening, said, "Who dares close my cave without my permission?" And again he took his breath into the lungs, the breathing of 100 storms, and he blew fire, and he pushed again the rock. And again the rock came in next to the lion, and the lion said, "Who dares, and who dares, and who dares?" And again he took his steps, and again he threw the rock, but this time the rock didn't close the cave. And the dragon stepped out and saw that the rock was coming just about as it was close to the cave, and said, "Who dares to throw this rock again to try to close me again?" And he saw from afar the lion, and he went with his wings spread, and he flew all the way to the